I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. And through the Spirit, I'm just going to do a quick one before camp today. This is Shabai from the GMS Denver camp, and I'm reading Psalm 26. It says, "Judge me, O Yahweh, for I have walked in mine integrity. I have trusted also in Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Therefore I shall not slide." And walking in your integrity, basically what integrity means is you're doing the same thing when you're alone, when nobody's watching, as you are, when you're with the brotherhood and what's not. See, so that's integrity, It says in verse 2, "Examine me, O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, prove me, try my reins and my heart," right? And how do we get proved? By walking through this, being tested in the fire, being, walking in the wilderness, aka Babylon the Great, or wherever brothers are scattered. It's not just limited to Babylon the Great, but this is how we get proved, through our trials and our tribulations. Okay, so integrity being proved with our trials and tribulations. And let me get this real quick. Job. Let's see. Job 23:10, it says, "But he knoweth the way that I take. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold." Right? And if you're walking in integrity, that's what it is. That you're going to come forth as gold, as in the brotherhood, as one of the elect. And then you got the 144,000 prophets or teachers of Israel who are all men. In Lord's will, I'm in that number. It says, "My foot hath held his steps, his way have I kept, and not declined." So we have to keep the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to the best of our ability. Okay? We're not perfect. We're in this flesh. It's a rehearsal, like it tells you in Judges 5:11. But nonetheless, we as the Israelites, especially the teachers, we're set to accountability, and a different level of accountability, especially if you're a teacher. It says in verse 12, "Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food." Right? So we depend on this knowledge, this truth, the Holy Spirit, even more than, food, our physical food that we eat to survive, to live. This is even more important than your food. Your daily bread, your spiritual daily bread is more important than your physical daily bread. All right, let's go back to Psalm 26 and verse 3. "For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes, and I have walked in thy truth." All right, so us walking in the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, it's something that we work on daily. Each day is a different day. Each day is a different test or trial. You got to keep your integrity and walk in the truth. And we're in the flesh, so we're never going to be able to be in the spirit, 24/7. That's why you have a balance to this thing, right? You have to balance things out. What is it? Proverbs 11:1. "A false balance is abomination to Yahweh, but a just way is his delight. All right, and there's also a verse that talks about be not overly righteous. Right? Let's get that in Ecclesiastes 7:16. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldst thou destroy thyself? Right? That's how they portray that dude in the Simpsons cartoon, Ned Flanders. Right? He's overly righteous. He's always doing the right thing, doing, you know, he's even you know, well, it's not the best example, because he's a pagan Christian and they're mocking Christianity in that cartoon. But the thing is, you know, you're gonna burn yourself out if you're trying to be a super Israelite, you know, Mr. 100, you know, because in the flesh, it's impossible to keep the ways of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai 100% of the time, you know. So you'll destroy yourself if you try, because the flesh is incapable of that. You know, that's why I should just get it, because I keep quoting it. Judges 5:11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water. And this is us. This is the place of us drawing water, right? We call it the living water, the running waters. The living water is a running water. It's constantly flowing like a river, right? I was actually at a river yesterday. The river doesn't stop flowing, man. It's constantly flowing. It says, they that are delivered from the noise of archers in the place of drawing water. So we're drawing the water, the knowledge, this truth. And our hope is to be delivered from the noise of archers. And those archers are those missiles, right? It says right here, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh. Okay? And that's the point. But we're rehearsing. This is a rehearsal. You know, when you have a wedding rehearsal, you mess up in the rehearsal so that you don't mess up in the actual wedding. And that's the same with this knowledge and this truth, you know. We're not going to keep the laws to perfection, even though we strive to. And when you go into that word strive, it means like a fight. See, you're fighting to keep, to be the best to your ability. You see? And you know your abilities. You don't want to sell yourself short if you have the ability to keep the ways of the Most High, and you don't keep them. Because there's going to be times when you can't keep the ways of the Most High. So, you know, you got to balance it out. There's certain things in this captivity of ours that we can't keep. There's laws that it's literally impossible for us to keep. Psalm 26 and verse 4, it says, I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of evil doers and will not sit with the wicked. All right. And that's your answer. If you ever wondered, am I in this truth? Can I still kick it with Esau? Can I kick it with my white friends? You know, your so-called white friends? And really, it's better off that you avoid all that, you know, because we've all been in this knowledge. Some of us have been in this longer than others, obviously. But, you know, when you come into the knowledge, you know, you're in Babylon, so you're going to have people throughout your life that you knew that were Edomites, right? And it says here, I will not sit with the wicked. Because I've seen brothers do lessons on the past, like basically asking, you know, is it kosher for me to hang out with my white friends or with my Edomite friends now that I'm in this knowledge? And the answer is right here in Psalm 26 and 5. You know, there's that saying in the world, the birds of a feather flock together. You don't want to be sitting with the wicked, man, whether it's the 2/3 or Esau, really, you know. Verse 6, I will wash my hands in innocency, so I will come past thine altar, O Yahweh. And how do we wash our hands? It tells you how we do that in Psalm 119:11. Oh, I'm sorry, 119:9. Psalm 119:9. Beth, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. Okay? So this is how we cleanse our ways, by taking heed to the word of the Most High. That's what's in a sense washing our hands, like we read in Psalm the 26th chapter. It says in verse 7, that I may publish with the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all thy wondrous works. Publish means to declare. When we go out in the streets, we're declaring the Most High. We're glorifying the Most High. On these lessons, same thing. We're publishing and declaring, the Most High and His wondrous works, like it says here. Verse 8. Yahweh, I have loved the habitation of thy house, in the place where thine honor dwelleth. Okay? And the habitation of the house is being in this congregation, being in this ministry, being in this truth. Right? And this is honorable for us, right? It's honorable for us to be in this knowledge, in this truth, in the eyes of the Most High, Yahweh. All right, it tells you in Romans 12:1, I beseech you, which means I urge you, therefore, this is Paul, I urge you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present yourselves, your bodies, a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service, right? So we present our bodies as a living sacrifice, right? Because things could happen when we're out there on the streets teaching. Anything could happen, Esau could send his goons after us. The 2/3, they act up sometimes. We know we have a hedge around us, but that doesn't mean, that things can't happen. It says, which is your reasonable service, which this is reasonable. You have 2 arms, 2 legs. You have a vehicle, or even if you don't have a vehicle, you have other ways of getting to camp. So it's reasonable for us. We have a mouth. The Lord gave us a mouth to speak, a brain to think. So it's reasonable. It's not unreasonable for us to, it's not something that's impossible to do the work. Verse 2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's what the truth does to you. It renews your mind, it refreshes you. You come back into if you're one of the prophets, he's going to give you the secrets of the Most High. You're going to know the names. You're going to know the laws, the statutes, the commandments. You're going to know what's expected. You're going to know what it actually means to be good and righteous. Right? Because people here in this world, they'll say, "Oh, well, be a good person." You see those T-shirts, "Be a good person," but what are they measuring that to? They're measuring that to the worldly, being a good in the world. Being a good. An example is being a good person in this society, in this world, might mean, you're taking you're feeding the homeless cheeseburgers, but when the best. You're feeding the poor, I should say, cheeseburgers that are downtown in the streets, right? Well, that's not a wicked thing to do, but what it's really talking about, to be a good person and feeding the poor, is teaching our people this knowledge, because our people are poor in the spirit when it comes to this truth. They don't know it. They don't know the names. A lot of them, they don't know. See, the phone chimed on that. They don't know what's the laws of the Most High. That's how you really feed the poor. So are you being a good person according to the world, or are you being a good person according to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai? That's why you have to renew your mind, so that you know the answer to that. That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. See, it's the will of the Most High that you want to be. You want to be teaching the will of the Most High, not the will of the world. You renew your mind according to the Most High's ways, and then you go and teach. That's when you're feeding the poor, who are the Israelites. Psalm 26 and 9. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men. And that's what happens when you come into this knowledge and this truth. You become holy, which means separate. So we're not going to be sitting there rubbing elbows with the sinners of our people, or with the wicked, instead, if we're with people, where the ideal way to do it is get with the brotherhood, like-minded people who are in the same mindset as you. And then guess what? You're going to be having holy conversations, while the world's talking about bullshit. You and the brotherhood actually talking about meaningful things that are profitable unto us. You see, verse 10. In whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. Right? Talking about Esau, the wicked. But as for me, I will walk in mine integrity. Redeem me and be merciful unto me. My foot standeth in an even place. In the congregations will I bless Yahweh. Right? So the congregation is the church, which the men are the church. So when we're at the camp, that's when we're blessing and glorifying Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right? Walk in your integrity, meaning don't just put on a front when you're with the brothers, and then when you're fucking by yourself, you're acting like a nigga or a two-third or a fucking tomahawk or a fucking beaner. You're out there acting like an idiot, No, you walk in it with integrity when you come into this knowledge and this truth. You start to, grow in the knowledge and the spirit. And hey, the angels see everything. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai sees everything. All right? So, I just want to do a quick hitter. I want to get ready for camp. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kudash, double honors. Goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge Al-Akim, who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect.